when I was younger, we went, it's like, if we didn't like it, we'll just give it time, maybe, if we didn't like it, we just never went back. But it wasn't like, knocking on the door, you're shit. So we were just eager to hear something completely different each week. I was always interested in, alternative music and music that was different. I love punk, I love disco and black music. I resorted to techno or electronic dance music because it incorporated that DIY aesthetic from punk and married, the sounds from say, early hip hop. That was the kind of path that I built for myself. I thought, I can't do hip hop, Am I going to rap with this nasally, Jewish voice? Hey, you want to buy something? It was never going to work. So, I could let out my teenage angst and aggression through, abrasive techno music. There was always an enthusiasm to discover new bits of gear, and I guess I was being able to, sample audio or, get a short phrase from a record or something else. When I was at uni, we had an Ensoniq EPS 16 plus, and that had 2 megabytes of memory. That could sample, I think it was, 20 or 30 seconds, which was amazing already. Then the ASR team came out, and it was like, you could sample 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Like, what? This is like, just blew my mind. So I needed a sequencer, sampler, which also became a synthesizer. And then I needed to have a 2-track recorder. So the next thing I had to save up for was a DAT machine, which is, a digital audio tape, which was a 2-track recorder. And quite simply, in the studio with just the bits of gear, you were restricted by, its functions. So you're always experimenting and exploring. And if something kind of, you thought was great, you just hit record and you just recorded these slabs of audio. But you're always pushing the parameters of kind of each machine because you do want it to sound like anybody else. This was kind of the weird paradox. You're making electronic dance music and you want to be revered by your peers, but you're also trying to push the parameters stylistically and genre-wise. So, if you had a particular synthesizer that, had a particular character, you were trying to extend that palette as best as you could. It may have been, maybe slight obsession as well, thinking that, if I had multiple, acid lines, something could come of it. And yeah, I think I've done a video recently where I've got all the 303 emulators and they're all, just this kind of mash of acid. This overload of acid. But did I extend the sound of a 303? I don't know. Probably not, because it has a very distinctive sound. My process is, producer as composer. So the studio is my instrument. It's not, I've got a 303. That's not the instrument. It's the 303 with everything else. The way I compose is all in real time, and it's not just something that actually makes a sound, but it's also things that manipulate events over time. Also informs the sound as well. Sometimes I like that piece of technology to almost drive itself. Sometimes I do want to extend that palette or manipulate it. So there are times I go, oh, geez, I just wish I could just extend this. I want to change that sound. I'm almost there. there are all these considerations, but no, I don't come out with saying, oh, I have to use this or I have to use that. It's I'll put a couple of machines together and see what happens. It normally starts with one or two machines or one or two sounds, and that's about it. It kind of builds from there. So much, equipment here that how many sounds can one hear at any one time? So you kind of build it up, and then it's a process of elimination. And then what you kind of started thinking that you wanted to do or you had an idea for ends up being something completely different. I guess one of the oldest things would be my original 303. Because I don't have my original ASR 10, I sold that, although I rebought it 3 or 4 times. I bought the ASR 10 3 or 4 times. So my original 303 and the 101 would be the two earliest purchases, I think. Then from there, 909, I think then I bought a computer. And the computer was really just a little Macintosh, and that was just for sequencing. There was no audio manipulation. And then I just kind of kept buying stuff. I wasn't continuously buying things. It was just, this is a snapshot of 20 plus years. So it wasn't like every week I was buying things. I just couldn't afford it. I was a student. I was working part time. Current stuff would be the Electron gear, the Electron boxes, which they're almost like the missing link to the Roland, XOX or Zox kind of series. The output of music that I do also extends to things like, art music as well. So it doesn't have to be this purely functional music with a pulse for people to dance to anymore. But now I'm old. And a little bit smart. Yeah, so I'm not worried about the kudos from the dance floor anymore. Doesn't matter unless I'm actually performing. I guess when I'm performing, I'm concentrating on keeping the audience engaged. Well, performing, I only have a certain amount of machines as well. So I'm working within those parameters, and I can't play via just one or two machines because the audience, I feel, may get bored of that sound. I came at it with kind of a punk aesthetic in my early years, so people used to throw things, but it was all part of fun. People people claim that I spat on them, but people felt, if people say that, then they felt that kind of that raw energy of, say, a punk band or something like that. So that's what they were kind of feeling, because I actually did take my cues from punk bands, seeing Henry Rollins and seeing, Cosmic Psychos or whoever the band may be, or Dead Kennedy, whatever it may be. See, I didn't actually have much equipment to begin with, so I was working with Phil Samatas at the time because he had a sampler, and I would come out during the holidays and kind of grab disco records and sample disco records and things like that and start building up a bank of sounds. And then Phil and I, were recording together, and I think there was like an ad in the Trading Post. Something like, I'll get your stuff released, or some weird ad, right? And, when you're kind of young, I'll give anything a go, it's not going to cost me anything. And spoke to this guy and gave him a demo on tape, and he went to, I think it was Popcom in Germany, which is like a trade show, an exchange. And he said, yeah, here's the deal. I got you a deal with, Kicking Records in the UK. I said, what? And it literally blew my fucking mind. It's like, this is amazing, It didn't matter what the money was. It had nothing to do with money. So like, this is now released with people that I revere. And I'm just, we're these two guys in Australia. It's amazing. I was always doing this. This never went away. But with Acid Jacks, because I was working with Ant, it was more of a, we're working, via software as well. So we'll take stuff from here and then, and then we had stuff released, overseas, and got to work with some great people as well. So that was it's a great time. But it kind of it challenged me, This is just like personally, and it wasn't my thing. I wanted to make this. This was like where my heart or soul was, because I was entertaining people as well. I am entertaining people as well. If you just want to hear perfectly made techno and acid, okay, well, lots of people who do that really well. You can buy that and listen to it. If you're coming to see a live act, I'm going to play something live.